I've been a fan of 30 Super Carry for a while now and really enjoyed testing this stuff and just learning new things about the cartridge. Today, I want to do some testing today, though, some accuracy, and then also on the Caldwell Veloci radar, some velocity testing. And I've got what I think is the perfect platform comparison, at least in carbine, to do all of that. I've got a newer model Hi-Point Carbine in, yes, 30 Super Carry, which is super duper cool. And then also got my old school, 2 decades old, who knows, first generation Hi-Point 9mm carbine. And so we're going to be doing that real quick before, and we do have some work to do. We got to get to it, but before we do that, I want to talk about the tripod that I've been using the last few videos here. You may have seen the multi-cal steady rest here, the platform shift. That's because the ball head on this thing was a little bit loose. And this tripod, this little tripod, wonderful tripod, by the way, but new to me. And I did not realize until I was done filming the last video that there's an adjustment to tighten this up. So the shift and the tilt and the give that's been happening in previous videos, it shouldn't happen in this one. So yeah, let's man, we got a lot to do. Let's get to work. Let's kick things off here with the accuracy testing. Going to start off with the 9mm here. We've got 3-inch targets at 50 yards down range. Going to go 5 rounds on those, and then we will, of course, take a look. All right, there are the 9mm. Now, let's put 5 down with the 30 Super Carry. Now, let me point out something real quick. We are using, big shout out and thanks, by the way, to Federal Premium Ammunition, but we are using some Blazer today, 115 grain on each of these. So 115 grain 30 Super Carry and 115 grain 9mm. Trying to be, again, as even Steven as we can possibly be. All right, 30 Super Carry now. Here we go. Helps if I turn my sight on, doesn't it? Oops. Here we go. All right. Sweet. I guess nothing left to do now but go down the range, take a look at those targets. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a boo-boo. Now, this right here was probably me, but it could also be the cheap sites. Running some really cheap Amazon knockoff sites on both of these. So I have marked previous holes here, so disregard those as well. These are 3-inch black dots, so at 50 yards, not terrible. On the left here, we have the 9mm, and then if you rule out the flyer, very similar grouping there on the right with the 30 Super Carry. Now let's do a little chrono testing here. I've got the Caldwell Veloci radar set up. And I need to mention that I did before, but using 115 grain Blazer in both of these. Now, what's going to be interesting is the 9mm is the larger cartridge. And so 115 grain for a 9mm is a lighter projectile than 9mm, whereas with the 30 Super Carry being the smaller cartridge, 115 grain projectile is a heavier projectile for that cartridge. So it's going to be interesting to see. Definitely jump down in a comment below or whatever real quick and let me know which one you think is going to have the higher velocities. But it's very possible because of that discrepancy, the 9mm is actually faster. So uh, here we go. Let's put some rounds down range here. $12.86 on that one. $12.65. $12.66. Wow. Pretty consistent. $12.63. And we had one for whatever reason there was not detected. Could have been several reasons on that, but very consistent ammunition is that Blazer. Wow, that's pretty crazy. So let's move on to the 30 Super Carry now. Um, I was actually surprised with a 9mm that we got, above the 1,200 feet a second range, even though it was in the carbine there. It's pretty good. Let's see what we can do with 30 Super Carry here. $12.94. Wow, I did not expect that. $12.89. Holy smokes. $12.73. $12.83. At $12.89. Good gravy. Yeah, if you were like me and thought that the 30 Super Carry was going to end up being a little bit slower because of that heavier projectile in the smaller cartridge, wow, you would have been wrong. Um, that absolutely was surprising. Well, yeah, the 30 Super Carry little Hi-Point Carbine here really had a good showing today. I'm impressed with the velocity numbers for sure that we got from this thing, and to boot, I don't know this for a fact, but I would wager at least a little bit that this is probably the cheapest 30 Super Carry that you can get into. And so if you're curious about the cartridge, you want to play around with it or whatever, this could definitely be a fun one for that. That being said, my OG, this sucker right here has got to be going on close to 20 years old. The OG Hi-Point 9mm carbine here, solid as a rock. If anybody out there wants to trash Hi-Point, call them absolute garbage, and all of that kind of stuff, I would point to this one right here. What you've seen today, that is the way it's run for nearly 2 decades now. And I don't know, I probably got 2 words for them. They want to trash the High Point carbines, and those two words are, yeah, right.